Hi, this is Alexa and this is my problem solution speech. Does anyone have a phone that allows them to unlock it with their face? This is just one method of facial recognition technology that is used to obtain your personal information. Law enforcement agencies misuse this, which puts into question the ethics of its use. I will first explain why the use of facial recognition technology by law enforcement is problematic, and then I will discuss solutions for the issue. Facial recognition technology used by law enforcement is a cause for concern. According to EFF.org, last accessed on November 17, 2020, face recognition is a method of identifying or verifying the identity of an individual using their face. This technology uses computer algorithms that focus on a person's distinctive facial features in order to create a face template. Once the face template is generated, it can then be used to identify subjects in photos, videos, or in real time. The police are increasingly relying on this technology, which allows them to compare mugshots with the ones that have already been archived in the facial recognition databases. When an officer is on duty, they have the capability of using a smartphone or tablet to take a picture of someone, which they can then reference as a comparison when they refer to the face recognition databases in the hopes of identifying that subject. Referenced in EFF.org, last accessed on November 17, 2020, estimates indicate that 25% or more of state and local law enforcement agencies in the U.S. can run face recognition searches on their own databases or those of another agency. The FBI gives law enforcement agencies unrestricted access to their database, titled Next Generation Identification Database. States give the FBI access to their own databases, specifically the ones that contain photos of criminals. This cooperation is concerning because these searches are not being monitored properly. According to TheAtlantic.com, last accessed on November 17, 2020, incredibly, half of all U.S. adults are already included in police facial recognition databases. This is not only an invasion of privacy, it is a form of technology that is ineffective and discriminatory. White males are the least at risk of facial recognition misidentifying them. According to TheAtlantic.com, last accessed on November 17, 2020, in one study, Asian Americans and Black people were up to 100 times more likely to be misidentified than white men, and Native Americans had the highest false positive rates of all ethnicities. This is clearly problematic in a country where law enforcement disproportionately targets racial minorities. To make matters worse, there are concerns that put into question its accuracy. Referenced in the article, Facial Recognition Technology Helps Nab Criminals and Raises Privacy Concerns, published in October 2017, some prior studies have suggested that facial recognition is less accurate than fingerprints, which raises the possibility that people will be targeted by the police on incorrect identifications. Corporate giants collaborate with law enforcement agencies in support of this technology. According to TheAtlantic.com, last accessed on November 17, 2020, regarding Amazon, the company has spent the past 2 years aggressively marketing Rekognition, its facial recognition product, to hundreds of police departments and federal agencies, even updating it to add fear detection. Amazon claims to support the progress and well-being of Black communities, but how can it when its business decisions illustrate a complete conflict of interest? Microsoft is another company that has partnered with law enforcement in the name of facial recognition. Referenced in TheAtlantic.com, last accessed on November 17, 2020, according to the American Civil Liberties Union, recently published emails indicate that back in 2017, Microsoft aggressively pitched its facial recognition software to the DEA. Although Microsoft and Amazon have stated that they will make sure that this technology is used appropriately, their actions portray a complete departure from the sentiments that they made to the public. These companies are putting lives at risk by partnering with law enforcement, since marketing this invasive form of technology causes the most harm to communities of color. Now that I've defined facial recognition technology and the consequences of its use by law enforcement, I will move on to discuss solutions for this issue. Solutions can be implemented to mitigate the effects of facial recognition technology used by law enforcement agencies. According to the article, How States Are Responding, Local Governments Have Passed Their Own Rules, published on April 1, 2020, in addition to public worry about the virtually unregulated use of this surveillance, members of Congress on both sides of the aisle have expressed concerns during recent hearings on the matter. Congress should pass legislation to ban or at least limit the use of this technology. If Congress observes how the individual states handle facial recognition legislation, this will hopefully serve as a catalyst for federal legislation to be passed. It is not enough to have protections at the state level. The federal government also needs to do its part in regulating this technology. More states should pass regulations to limit the use of facial recognition by federal agencies and police officers. For example, according to the article, How States Are Responding, Local Governments Have Passed Their Own Rules, published on April 1, 2020, Oregon signed a law in June 2015 that fully prohibits the use of facial recognition in conjunction with police body cameras. Also, states such as Michigan, New Hampshire, New Jersey, and South Carolina have introduced bills as of January of this year to prohibit or limit the use of this technology. According to TheAtlantic.com, last access on November 17, 2020, groups such as the Electronic Frontier Foundation, Fight for the Future, Color of Change, Media Justice, among many others, have called for a complete ban on facial recognition technology for law enforcement at all levels of government. We can get involved by donating to nonprofit organizations such as the Electronic Frontier Foundation and Fight for the Future. Both organizations aim to protect our digital rights, such as digital privacy, free speech, and freedom of expression. We can also donate to nonprofit organizations whose goal is to support communities of color. Color of Change, Media Justice, Black Visions Collective, and Equal Justice Initiative are some examples of these organizations. This may seem like an indirect way to help. However, by supporting those who are disproportionately targeted by law enforcement, we will hopefully witness social progress as a result. In conclusion, facial recognition is an issue that needs to be taken seriously because law enforcement does not use it responsibly. Today, we have looked at how law enforcement's use of the technology is a cause for concern, and then I discussed the solutions that can mitigate the effects of facial recognition technology used by law enforcement agencies. So whether or not you have a phone with that face unlock feature, I hope you can find comfort in knowing that there are conscious choices that we can make to better protect our digital rights. Thank you.